Hey guys, welcome back to another one. I wasn't going to film this, to be honest. I've just ridden it, and as I was riding it I was thinking, whoa, this might actually make quite an interesting video. So the background, it's another one of those unfixable motorbikes, FZR1000 EXUP. It's a sort of, what reg is that? That's a, fucking hell, that's early 90s J reg. What's that in UK? JKLM, it's like 93 maybe, something like that. So fucking hell, 20-year-old motorbike. So the guy, he's owned it from nearly new. So he's had it about 15 years, I think he said. Can't quite remember, but he's had it a good long time. And he bought it, this is his second EXUP, he bought it with not very many miles on it, and it had stood for a couple of years when he bought it. And he said the carburation was never quite right low down. It always felt a little bit flat and not quite right, because his previous EXUP had, he thought, made a lot more power low down. And he just lived with it and lived with it. And over the years it's been in and out of a few motorbike shops to try and get it resolved, and they never really got it quite right. You get the picture. And then in recent years it's got worse and worse. So now when you ride it, it's low down, the fueling, once the engine is hot, which might be a tell, I don't know, but once the engine's really hot, the fueling and the throttle response low down is fairly horrible. And the idle is also, yeah, the idle's not great. Now, it's recently been in a motorbike shop and they told the guy they'd fixed it. He had it back exactly the same. He's got his arse out with it. He's had the carbs off himself because he's got a little bit of an idea of what's going on. He's had the carbs off himself. He's had slide needles, emulsion tubes. Carbs have been cleaned. We'll have to have a look, I don't know. And serviced and put back on. It's exactly the same. So he's found me online, and yeah, I've managed to stitch myself up with another one of these. So after riding it, what I'm going to do next, which is why I kind of thought I might film this, it might be interesting. I'm going to put my gas analyzer in the exhaust pipe. Some of you have seen that in other videos. I'm going to mount it on the tank or somewhere, and another camera on the tank so you can see the AFR meter in real time as we're riding. I'm pretty sure the way it's sort of behaving that it's something carburation related, so I think he's on the right lines by taking the carbs off. But whatever he's done in there, or whatever anybody else has done in there, hasn't fixed it. So let's have a ride. Let's see what the fueling's doing. Now, my AFR meter, for those of you that haven't seen it, it can also, there's some inputs. So you can do engine RPM, you can do throttle position, and map it against the AFR in real time. It's got a wide, basically it's a wideband O2 sensor and a thing that goes down the exhaust pipe. So you can look at, what am I trying to say? You can map it and it records it to an SD card, and there's some software for the PC, and then you can upload the map, and you can see throttle position and RPM and the AFR, a bit like being on a dyno, but being out in the wild, in the real world. I'm not going to bother with the RPM and the throttle position, because to do that you've got to, I've got to lift the tank up and I've got to start back probing connector blocks and stuff, and I'll literally just look at the AFR meter as I'm riding along to get a sense of what's going on. And if I can set my camera up properly, you'll also be able to see. Right, that's enough waffling, enough intro. Let's get on this bike and go and have a ride. So this is me set up. I hope you guys appreciate the lengths I go to bring you such awesome content. So I've got my 360 camera, got my AFR meter. There's a battery here, stick that in my pocket so you'll be able to see the clocks on the bike and the AFR as I'm riding. I'll have a mic in my helmet so I can talk to you. No idea if this is going to work, but we'll find out. Right, okay people, hopefully you can hear me. So it's been ticking over on that, fucking hell, it's got quite hot quite quickly, to be fair. Interesting. You can see how high that temperature gauge has got. Fan's not on yet. It's hasn't been sitting here that long. Judging by the state of it, there might not even be any coolant in it. I haven't looked yet. Right, it's battery in my pocket. Right, let's try and not have a massive accident doing this. Stuff that wire in my coat. Right, okay. Oh fuck me, that camera's a bit in the way. Hang on a minute, I might have to move you slightly. Stand by, guys. Yeah, that's better. Oh, now the fucking FR meter's gone off. Oh, for goodness sake. Bad connection. Come on. Chop chop, we haven't got all day. Fucking bike's gonna blow all its coolant out all over the floor by the time you're ready. I'm gonna turn it off. The fan's on. What the fuck? That W there, W69, it's warming up the sensor, but the sensor must be bloody hot by now. It's been stuck down the exhaust pipe for 5 minutes. Oh, there we go, we're in business. Right. I'm not going to go far. I'm going to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down the lane, and then there's a sort of a gradual hill upwards. And when I was on road test earlier on, coming up that hill, that's, you know, on a wide open throttle in a high gear, that's when it really protested and didn't want to run properly. So we'll do that again. We'll go down the hill. Yeah, it's already looking a bit rich, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. That's just on a tiny bit of throttle. Fucking hell, look at that, 10 to 1. I think it's rich. And I think I've got a little bit of an inkling what it might be. So if my memory serves me correctly, these carburetors, they've got the float needle valves are removable. The float needle valve, the seat for the float needle valve is removable from the carb body, and the O-rings perish or get rock hard over time, and the float level creeps up, or it can't maintain a float level. It might be that. I mean, maybe that's wishful thinking, given that carbs have already been apart. And you know, you'd think somebody would be checking there, wouldn't you? But you never know. Let's just get an actual understanding of rich or lean condition. Yeah, whoa, fucking hell. Right, okay, I don't even need to go uphill. So let's get on a bit of a straight here. There's wet leaves everywhere and it's freezing cold. It's like an ice rink. So we just start opening the throttle here. Watch that AFR. 9.6 to 1. So it's a rich condition that's causing the I don't know whether you can hear that gargling in the exhaust as it tries to, you know, clear. I'm not going to go any further. There's no point in riding just for the sake of riding, given that this thing also is not running properly, is the least of its worries. It's no, it's not coming this way. Yeah, this bike needs chain of sprockets, steering bearings, front discs and pads. It's a little bit tired. So that makes sense. So rich condition, it's worse when it's hot. So that, you know, that you understand that a cold engine needs a richer mixture. So as it gets hot, it effectively needs less fuel, which is why the problem really shows itself when the engine gets up to temperature. So it's carbs off, and we're hunting what's causing a rich condition. So even now, 10, that's way too rich. I've just got the throttle slightly cracked. So this hill, if I make it pull, I'll go up a gear, really make it labour. No, it doesn't want, you know, nearly cut out then. Come on now. Yeah, like giving it throttle is killing it, and look how rich it is, 9.7. And then if you get, hang on, let's get some revs on it. So if I crack the throttle, see, it won't go. And it clears itself. Get some revs on it. Fucking hell, it's slidey, it was wheel spinning then. At least if we crash, we've got it on camera. Oh, not happy. Yeah, not good. Do you remember that Hayabusa road test when there were those horses around that corner a few years ago? Yeah, fucking hell, it's terrible. Right, carbs off, see what we can do. Okay, Coke, so that's that, guys. I think you'll probably agree that having an AFR meter is quite a sort of powerful tool, really. It takes a, let me stand away from this bike, it's quite loud. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of what's going on. You know, with a misfire like that, you could be thinking all sorts of stuff, but you know, my spider sense was saying carburation. That confirms it's definitely carburation, and it confirms it's a rich condition, so you're not chasing electrical. Not that you would necessarily with those sort of symptoms, but you understand what I mean. It gives you some certainty. So it is a bit of a faff to set it up, as you can see. I don't normally tape tape my camera to the bike, but the last time I used this camera, which was on a, I can't remember, it was on a video, the footage never made it, but it hit the deck and smashed the lens. So I'm a little bit yeah, a little bit nervous now about using a suction cup on a bike tank. Anyway, so going to get this in the workshop now, get the carbs off, and let's see if we can see what's causing this rich condition. In fact, I'm going to make this a part 2. This is end of part 1. Part 2, we'll get it on the bench, see what the hell's going on with these carbs. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.